welcome. We're going to be talking about 26 books I want to read in 2026. I've been seeing everyone do this, and I wanted to do it too. However, I've decided to do it here instead of TikTok because I talk too much. I ramble for like ever. So trying to do a video like this on TikTok does not work for me. So I know that this is probably new, and this is, I think, my first video on YouTube, but we're gonna give it a try. So I have a handful of books here that I want to read, and then I also have a list on my iPad. I will be honest, it's not so much 26 books, it's so much as 26 things, because some of them are series that are absolutely more than one book. Just a definition of a series. But let's get started. So I'm going to go through this, and then I'll go through the list of others. So the first one is Alchemized. I've wanted to read this since it came out, but I had surgery right around when it came out, and then it was the holidays, and I just never got to it. And then in December, I had a reading goal of 100 books, and by the time December rolled around, I still had like 20 books to read. So I knew a 1,000-page fantasy book wasn't going to be what would get me to that goal. So I did wait on that. Now that we are in the new year though, I have started reading it. I'm about chapter and a half in. So we'll see how that goes. I am vlogging that for YouTube. So there will be a video, I hope next week, of me reading that. If not, probably the following week. It really just depends on how long it takes me to read the book. So next is When the Moon Hatched, which I'm crossing things off as I say them so I don't re-say them. So that would just be so like me. When the Moon Hatched. I've wanted to read this book for a long time, because people said if you liked Fourth Wing, you'd like this book. The size scared me. It is 700 pages. So not quite as long as Alchemized, but pretty long. So I was a little nervous about it. But now that we're in the new year, I think I will get to it. I also was nervous that it would be a cliffhanger. But the second book does come out this year, so we are going to read that. Next is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. My goal is to get to more Rebecca Yarros books this year. I love her. I cannot wait for her next contemporary. I cannot wait for the next Empyrean. If you can't tell behind me, I have Fourth Wing in every variation I could afford. And Iron Flame and Onyx Storm also. I love her books. I would read everything she writes. I would read her grocery list. So The Things We Leave Unfinished. I started this in an audiobook at one point, and I just couldn't get into it. It's not even that long. It's 430 something pages. But I did watch Larry do a reading vlog of reading this, and she said that she actually likes the story of I think it's the great aunt, Georgia. She said she liked Georgia's story better than she liked Scarlett, who's like the main character. And I don't think I got far enough to get to Georgia's story when I read it. So hopefully I'll like that. Next is the Shatter Me series. This is the first series I think we have. I've had this forever. I have not read it. I read, I believe, like 2 pages. I'm also gonna vlog this because I think that would be fun to do like a Shatter Me series reading vlog. I think reading vlogs for me are going to be something that I find fun to do and post on YouTube because I like to talk. I like to talk when I'm reading. So I will pause and be like, oh my god, this is so good. I'll literally call someone to be like, I'm reading this book and this happened and it's so amazing. Side note, I love the cover of Shatter Me. Like, the back, it's like reflective almost. And like metallic. I don't know. I just love it. I like the feel of this book in my hands. I don't know why. But yeah, I've wanted to read this for a while. I never got to it. I know it's YA. So maybe when I'm kind of in the mood for like no spice would be a good time to read this. Because I do know a lot of what I want to read this year does have a lot of spice. And I'm not really in the mood for that. So I'm not always in the mood for that, really, should be the sentence. Keeping with the Rebecca Yarros, I want to finish this series. This is the last book I have to read. I have read Full Measures, I Turn Skyward, Hollowed Ground, and Beyond What Is Given. And this is the last book in the series that I have to read. I tried reading it last year. No, the year before that for like a minute. I made it like a chapter or two in. And I just had a lot going on at the time. So I wasn't able to like read as much as I wanted. And then I had surgery and I just never got back to this. I wound up reading other things. So I'd like to go back and read this. Next is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I tried to read this last year. My brother picked it for me. I was bored in the first like chapter. I was just bored and I couldn't force myself to read it, and I stopped. I don't really DNF things. I either don't read them, like I either can't get into it by like the first chapter and I stop reading it, or I stop reading it with the intention of going back to it. So I don't count it as a DNF because I'm going to finish it eventually. And then also, like, if I've only read a chapter, I don't consider that having started reading it. So I'm gonna try that. The next thing goes with this. So this is the L. Kennedy Campus Diaries series. I read all of Off Campus, and I read one book of the Campus U series, Briar U series. So I want to finish that, and then I want to read these. So I don't have those in hardcovers, paperbacks. I just have the Campus Diaries series. So my goal is to finish Briar U, read Campus Diaries. Oh, and the new book, Love Song, that's coming out. That's another one I'm going to read when it comes out. Okay, now we're on to books I don't own that I will need to get on Kindle, get a copy of, or hopefully some of them are on Kindle Unlimited. I do have two on here. Unloved and Unbound by Peyton Corinne. I have Unloved. I got it the day it came out last year, and I just never got to reading it because, again, I had surgery last February, and this came out like February 4th or something. By the time I went to read it, it was too close to surgery. I didn't want to start a new book and then be like unable to read for a little bit because of surgery, because I knew the surgery I was having, I would have a hard time holding my hands up to read. So I didn't want to start Unloved and then have to pause and then go back to it. So I just didn't start it. And then it wound up, I forgot about it for a little bit, honestly. I just didn't get to it. And then Unbound, I do have an arc of. I got that a couple weeks ago, right before I think Christmas. And I am waiting to read it until a little closer to the publication date, because I don't like reviewing books too ahead of the date it comes out. Just because I feel like then it gets buried a little bit and people don't see it, or they forget about it by the time the book comes out, and then it doesn't really help the author. So especially if it's an author I really like and an author I love their books, like it's a good review, which I assume Unbound will be, because I did love Unsteady with everything I had. Like, that was a 5-star book for me. I don't want that kind of review to get like buried or forgotten about by the time the book comes out. So I am waiting to read that till we're closer to the publication date. So I'm probably going to read both of those closer to the publication date of Unbound, just because I feel like in the long run that will be beneficial. Um, Going back a little, Reckless and the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. I want to read that before Fever Dream comes out, because I do want to read Fever Dream when it comes out, and I want to have finished the series. The only book I have no interest in reading by her is Flawless. I've tried Flawless multiple times. I cannot get into it. Rhett just isn't my favorite person. I don't know why. And Summer isn't my favorite person, and I don't know, like, maybe later on I will change my mind and I will read those. Maybe I'll love those characters later on. Every time I've tried to read Flawless so far, I've gotten like a couple chapters and been like, I really don't love these characters. And I know that's like a super unpopular opinion. Everyone loves the Elsie Silver characters, all of them. Those two, just not my favorite. I love everyone else. I also think Jasper, so underrated. And Sloan. Oh, and I want to finish, what's the first series? The Off to the Races, Out of the Gate, that series. I started that this year. I think I read one of them this year, and I want to finish that. So that's a couple series that I want to finish. I lumped it all together. A lot of these are because it's the same author or like same universe. I lumped it all together, and I didn't count it as its own book, which is why I'm not calling it 26 books. I'm thinking 26 things, because series are a thing, book is a thing, like, you know. Next is Twisted Lies by Anna Wong. I've read the other ones. They're not my favorite books, but they're good. I haven't read Twisted Lies, so I want to get to that so I can finish the series and have finished it. I don't know how I feel about the rest of her books. I've heard mixed reviews about the Kings of series, and I don't know what the series is called, and also the new series, the like Striker and the Defender and that. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about that, so I'm unsure if I will read those, but I do want to at least finish the Twisted series, so like I have read that full series. I've heard a lot of people really love Twisted Lies that didn't love some of the other books. I think my ranking would be Twisted Games, Twisted Love, Twisted Hate right now, because I didn't love Josh and Jules. But I also didn't love Alex and Ava either. Like, I liked the aspect of Twisted Love, the like mystery, suspenseful aspect of it, where it was like, who was, spoilers if you haven't read it, who was really responsible, who tried to kill her, like all that stuff I enjoyed. Their story I could have given or taken it. I would have probably enjoyed that book just the same if it was like a book about the two siblings trying to figure out the suspense of it all. Alex was just the money guy, honestly. And also like, because he's part of the problem, but like they don't know that. Next is Role Model and Common Goal by Rachel Reed, which I'm also going to add to this list, Unrivaled, because let's be so for real, that will be pre-ordered by the time it comes around, and I will be getting that day of. I might honestly just get the Kindle version because I don't own any of the other ones. So like if I am going to own them, I do kind of want to just like get them all together. But I have not read Common Goal. I have not read Role Model. I do want to read both of those. I've read the other ones, all of the other ones. But I do want to read those. So I think honestly after Alchemized, that's probably going to be what I read next, is those two. And then Unrivaled I'll read in September. Then we have two that kind of go together. The Bad Reputation book, which is 2 books in one, and the Like Us series by Krista and Becca Ritchie, my god. I want to space those out throughout the year. I don't know that I'm going to get to all of the Like Us series. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I do want to read Bad Reputation. I started that back around Thanksgiving. I started reading it. I got a couple chapters in and I was like, wait, I need to pause. I just read Addicted. I need to take more of a break in between these. So I stopped reading it, but I do want to go back and read that. And I do want to read the Like Us series, because I heard that some people really, really love that series and that the kids are awesome. And I did see a clip, again, spoiler, I think, on TikTok of Maximoff being like, I just want my mom. And something about that made me want to read the book so badly. Something about Maximoff wanting Lily in like a stressful situation made me like, oh my god, she was so scared that she was gonna be like a fuck up mom. And like in a stressful situation, in a situation where he's scared, like her son just wants her. Like, I love that. So I do want to read that. Jumping back to... No, you know what? I'll finish off, like, contemporaries. The next one I want to read is People We Meet on Vacation, because I want to watch the movie. That's the whole reason. I haven't read an Emily Henry book yet. I do own Great Big Beautiful Life. I want to read People We Meet on Vacation just so I can watch the movie and not be, like, disappointed later because I didn't read the book first. Oh, that's why that was out there, because I grabbed the wrong book. I do have another book, Archer's Voice. I've heard a lot of amazing things about this. I do think I have to be in the right frame of mind to read it, because if I remember, he's mute. Yeah, he's a mute person. So I believe it's like kind of chronic illnessy, like sad story. So I do think I have to be in the right frame of mind to read that, but I'm gonna put this here. This is not on my list. I just accidentally grabbed it. But I do really want to read it. Last contemporary, I think, is from Look Off With Love. I want to read a Mariana Zapata book. And I think that reading from Look Off With Love around, like, the Winter Olympics in February would be, like, the perfect way to get into it. Because I always like reading what's going on in my life, right? So, like, when I'm having a really bad chronic illness time, I love reading chronic illness representation. When I'm having, like, summertime, I love reading summer books. Fall, I love fall books. Like, I like reading depending on what's going on in my life. So I know that, like, during the Summer Olympics, I read swimming books because I was watching swimming. So I feel like during the Winter Olympics, I'm going to want to read about figure skating and hockey a lot, because those are the two sports that I watch in the Winter Olympics. I watch the other ones if they're on, but, like, I don't go out of my way to watch it. These two I do, first of all. But I do want to read those. The next one, I'm going to say, I don't know if it's I think it's dark romance. It's the Mindfuck series. I've heard a lot of good things. I'm counting that as one book as well, unless it's in Goodreads as multiple books. I've heard good things. I want to try to get more into dark romance this year. I very much tend to stick with just, like, mafia romance in terms of dark romance. And I would love to kind of get outside my comfort zone a little bit and read some more dark romance. I know it's important to look at triggers and stuff. I don't really have that many. I don't really have any, to be honest. But I do want to try to get more into dark romance. So, Mindfuck series. And while we're on that topic, while on that topic of dark romance, I do also want to read a Rena Kent book. I don't know which one. I don't know if I want to read, like, the Gods series, the Gods of Pain, etc. I'm not going to do Kiss the Villain, because I've heard not great things. I was thinking maybe, was it Dangerous Venom? No, that's not it. I know the most recent release was Sweet Venom. Whatever that series is, because I've heard that it's hockey. And I feel like whenever I can mix a genre I'm newer to with something I'm familiar with, like a hockey romance, it gets me more into it. So I'm thinking maybe that. Before we go into more fantasies, the last one that I'd say is definitely out of my comfort zone is the Housemaid series. I'm getting the book this weekend. My grandma has it and she's bringing it over for me. I want to read that because I want to go see the movie, but I also want to get more into thrillers a little bit, because I do love romantic suspense, I love Catherine Cowles and like those authors that are like that. Who's another one? Maybe I don't have the book here. I love romantic suspense, so I think I'd like thrillers. So I want to try it, and I figured Housemaid is one I hear good reviews on all the time. The movie is out, so if I read it, I can watch the book. Oh my god, I can't speak. If I read it, I can watch the movie and kind of get a follow-up to it. So I think that would be good to get into thrillers. So I'm gonna try that. The Lightlark series and Starside. I want to read all of Alex Astor's books. I loved Summer in the City, which I have right behind me. It's going over there because I'm not trying to get back on that bookshelf. I liked her writing in that. I don't know if it's the same for her fantasy novels. But I've heard good things about the Lightlark series. I tend to trust Larry's reviews for most things. We have only had a handful of books that we differed on in terms of reviews that I've seen. One being like The Last Letter. But usually when she gives a bad review, or even not even like a bad review, but just like I didn't love this book to something, I can understand her reasoning for the review, even if I did in fact love that book. So I tend to trust her ratings. I tend to trust like her opinion on like, was this a good book, was this not. She did read Lightlark. She liked Lightlark. She did want to read the next one. She wasn't like, oh my god, I'm obsessed, I have to read the next one immediately, but she did say she really enjoyed it. So I do think I'll like that. I also have wanted to read it since it came out, but again, it was one of those things where I was like, do I want to start a series that's still coming out one by one? Now there's 4 books out. 5 if you count the one from the men's point of view, like the half and half. So I kind of feel like it's safer to read now. And I feel like the next one's probably coming out like sometime this year, because I feel like she's released one every year for the last like 4 years, if not more than one. So I feel pretty safe on that. And then Starside, because I want to see the difference between her writing a dark adult and a YA, because Lightlark is YA, but Summer in the City was an adult, and Starside is supposed to be an adult. So I'm really intrigued. I also think, and I might be wrong, that Starside's supposed to be a standalone. I don't think it's a series. I think it's just one book. And I'm really intrigued by standalone fantasy books. There's not a lot of them, but I kind of like the concept of having just like a standalone fantasy book where it's one book. So we'll see. I want to read those. The last 3 on here. Okay, there's 2 more that I did not get out for some reason. Let me get them. That I have not read. And then 1 series left. So the last series is Throne of Glass / Crescent City. I haven't read it. I've read Avatar. I have not read Throne of Glass or Crescent City. And I feel like at this point, I can't call myself a reader, having not read those books, right? Like, everybody's read those books. So, at least Throne of Glass. Some people haven't read Crescent City, but Throne of Glass. So my priority is definitely to read Throne of Glass. And then if I get to Crescent City, great. So that's the last series my goal is for the year. 2 more. These 2 kind of go hand in hand in a weird way. So first is Shield Sparrows. I was supposed to read this for a book club that I was gonna do. We never wound up doing the book club because, first of all, but like the end papers are so pretty. I can't get over it. And I mean, the sprayed edge is gorgeous too, but I have a lot of pretty sprayed edges. So I wanted to read that for book club. I didn't get to it. I tried. I read like 2 pages. And I kept getting distracted. It was a busy week. It was a weird time. I also still had medical stuff going on and still had appointments and stuff. I was in the process of like scheduling a surgery. So there was a lot going on. I just had a hard time reading it. I wound up not getting to it. So I do want to read that this year. And last but not least, which I think I want to read very soon, is Silver Elite. Do I know anything about this book? Not really. I know it's dystopian. I know it came out with around the same time, like I think the same day as Shield Sparrows, and everyone was talking about the 2 of them. And everyone was trying to figure out who the author of this book is, because the marketing for this book was very good, and people were like, it has to be someone writing under like a pen name, right? Because they marketed it so heavily. Like, why would they waste so much marketing on a brand new author on a book they don't know if they're gonna do well? I don't know. I've heard it's a lot like Divergent. I loved Divergent, and honestly, other than Fourth Wing, there's nothing that I've read that's been quite like Divergent since. Fourth Wing is probably the closest we get to it, and I think that's just because of the like setting. With Fourth Wing, you're at Basgiath, where they're like in the war college, they're learning how to like survive. So like their classes are fighting and weapons and stuff like that. Where like with Divergent, when you went to your faction, it was kind of similar, especially because of where we see the main character go and what she's learning there. It's very similar. It's fighting and weapons and how to survive. So it's similar, but I also think there are people that say Fourth Wing is just Divergent with dragons. I don't think that's true. Fourth Wing is completely different. It just has a handful of things that are somewhat similar in terms of setting and what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just gonna say setting. I don't know what the other word I was looking for was. So I'm hoping that maybe this is a little more Divergent than anything else I've read, because I did love Divergent and I would love to revisit that. So those are the 26 things I would like to read in 26. Some honorable mentions: The Next Boys of Tommen book. Obviously. The next Shield of Sparrows book, I think it's Starling of Rights or something. I believe Silver Elite is getting another book, the next one of those, if I like those books. The next When the Moon Hatched. I doubt this will happen, but if we magically get the next ACOTAR or the next Imperium book, those. When we get the next Rebecca Yarros contemporary, I will read that. If we get the next Magnolia Parks, obviously I'll be reading that. All of those, but those are just honorable mentions because we don't have dates for those. Some of them we have dates for. These 3 we have dates for, I believe. But I haven't read these, so I don't know if I'm gonna like them enough to continue the series. So like, I didn't put those on the list because I was like, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna read them and then risk not liking the first one and then be like locked into reading the second one. That's silly. But I am gonna try the first ones, and if I like those are on my list then. And then the other ones are all, we don't have dates, we don't know that they're coming out this year, but if they do, I will definitely be reading them. So yeah, those are the goals for the year. I'll go through it real quick. My other goals, again, is to read 100 books. I'd like to read more genres this year. I'd love to read like some more thrillers and maybe more like straight fantasy instead of romantasy. I think more books that are like Seven Husbands, where it's more like, I don't want to say historical, but like different than just a regular contemporary romance. I would love to read like some of the Kristen Hanna books that are more historical romance. I'm not sure I'll get to that this year because I'm not gonna lie, those do make me kind of nervous, but I would love to try. I think that's it. I think that's really all my goal for the year. I just want to read. I want to let myself DNF this year a little bit. And I also don't want to do too many arcs. I did a lot of arcs last year and I ran out of time to read all of them, or things happened with life and I couldn't get to them. And I felt very bad having to like email the literary company. But yeah, I would love to just like let myself not worry and only apply for arcs that like I really want to read. Like I have Unbound. I really want to read Unbound. I applied for Lexi LaFleur Brown's next book because I really loved Shoot Your Shot, and also I just love her as a person, so reading her books would be awesome. But I'm not applying for just like random books I don't really know or I'm not like super excited about this year, and I'm not gonna let myself do that. So those are the goals. That's the goal. So I'll see you next week. Have a great week.